Chapter 2988. A roar roar. The densely packed roars caused the entire void to tremble. Rumble roar. Soon after, a devouring dragon with 18 claws flew out of the hole. Among the million devouring dragons, the weakest was an 8th order god king. There were about 4,000 emperor-level devouring dragons at the front. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws, exuding a ferocious aura. When all the devouring dragons flew out of the dragon cave, the expressions of the people from the two races in the void ahead changed drastically. This is just the beginning. Seeing the change in their expressions, Wuxia revealed a faint smile. Woo woo woo. Woo woo woo. Just as he finished his sentence, Xiao Lan, who was hidden on both sides of the dragon cave, let out a roar. Their voices seemed to have come from the ancient times. At this time, Mad Dragon Species, Royal Dragon Species, Heaven Lightning Earth and Fire Dragon Species, and Poison Horn Dragon Species flew out of the cave and landed on Little Blue's body. Xiao Lan opened its mouth, and a black hole appeared in front of it. Wang. In the next moment, Little Blue's body appeared behind the Three-Eyed Tribe and Four-Armed Tribe, blocking their path of retreat. The entire Dragon Palace went berserk. The oppressive might of close to 8,000 emperor gods charged towards them. SS. At this moment, everyone from the Four-Armed race and Three-Eyed race was shocked. Their eyes swept around, and cold sweat appeared on their foreheads. This. Everyone on the Nine-Man planet was dumbfounded. They were at a loss for words. This was the full strength of the Dragon Palace? What's going on? What's going on? Why are there so many experts in the Dragon Palace? Didn't they say there were only 100 god emperors? Elder Kuang, who was severely injured, widened his eyes when he saw them being surrounded, and felt the strength of the Dragon Palace. We have been tricked. Elder, what do we do? What do we do? At this moment, everyone from the Four-Armed race and Three-Eyed race had cold sweat on their foreheads. They looked at their surroundings in horror, completely losing the arrogance they had before. 7 to 8,000 god emperors. A total of 7 to 8,000 god emperors, a few times more than them. Moreover, the aura of the two terrifying beasts made them tremble. Run! This is all the strength of the Dragon Palace. As long as we run back, the strength of our tribe can rush over and easily destroy them. Elder Kuei roared with an incomparably gloomy face. Their gazes swept across the surroundings, but they did not sense any combat strength above the 5th Order God Emperor realm. This made him even more furious. Even without a 6th Order God Emperor realm expert, he was nearly killed. He wanted the Dragon Palace to pay a heavy price. Elder Kuei, our space has been sealed. They have powerful magi. We can't escape back to the Divine Kingdom in an instant. But very quickly, terrified shouts rang out. The members of the Three-Eyed Tribe shuddered when they heard the voice. They realized that they could not return to their god kingdom in an instant, and their hearts were pounding furiously. We've been locked down. Everyone from the two tribes felt their hearts sink. We've locked down the entire space. Don't even think of escaping or sending any messages. Just wait for your death. The injured Yamada Devilsha returned to Wuxia's side and laughed with a murderous look. Kill. Wuxia did not give them any chance to escape. He roared and gave his order. Millions of devouring dragons roared and charged towards the two demon tribes. Swish, swish, swish. The dragon cavern slowly moved forward, and the countless arrows of the arrow dragons shot towards the two groups of races. The Mad Dragon, Imperial Dragon, Heaven Lightning Earthly Fire Dragon, Venom Horn Dragon, and the others behind the two demon tribes unleashed their ferocious aura and charged over. The spiked dragon disappeared into the void in a flash. The 1.9 million combat members of the Dragon Palace unleashed their full strength. Not good, not good. Damn it. Block them immediately. The members of the two demon tribes turned pale as they shouted. Damn it, how could this be? The 8th elder of the Three-Eyed Dragon race, who only had one head left, roared in fear. They were here to obtain opportunities, not to throw away their lives. How could this be? The wrath of the divine dragon caused countless dragon species to overturn the seas and rivers as they surrounded the two races. Close to 8,000 emperor gods unleashed the first round of attacks. Countless dragon flames and dragon breaths surged towards the center. Everyone from the 2 demon tribes was enveloped by the flames. Resist. The weakest member of the Dragon Palace is an 8th Order God King realm expert. How can they be so strong? The God Emperors of the 2 demon tribes roared in fear as they unleashed their defenses. Some of the experts had an ugly expression on their faces as they had a bad feeling about this. The weakest member of the Dragon Palace was an 8th Order God King realm expert. What kind of concept was this? Even the core army of their demon tribes could not compare to this. Arg, I can't hold them off. Kill, kill, kill. As the energy engulfed over, all the experts of the 2 races, who were below the God Emperor realm, screamed out in fear. They were too strong. They were not on the same level. Other than the similar number of 5th Order God Emperor realm experts, the rest were 7 to 8 times weaker. With such a huge difference in strength, they could not escape to their own god country. Was there any chance of survival? Breakthrough, breakthrough. When the heavily injured Elder Kwang saw this scene, his eyes almost popped out of their sockets, and he roared with all his might. 2 5th Order God Emperor realm experts protected him as they tried to break through the encirclement. Breakthrough. The group of God Emperors roared as they tried to break through the encirclement. As for those below the God Emperor realm, they could only pray for themselves. Arg, no, no, no. Elders, deacons, save us. Cries of agony rang through the air. Under the Dragon Palace's attack, more than half of the 180,000 members of the 2 demon tribes died. The God Emperors could not even take care of themselves. How could they care about the other demon tribes? Kill them all. Leave no one alive. Wang Xian's face turned cold as he watched them break through the encirclement. Swish. He flew forward at a terrifying speed, his eyes locked onto the 8th elder of the Three-Eyed Clan, who only had a head left. Watch out. Sensing Wang Xian's approach, the deacon who was holding the 8th elder's head was horrified. He wielded a long sword and slashed at Wang Xian. Bam! Bam! Wang Xian did not dodge. The Tai Chi dragon played around him rotated and blocked the terrifying sword radiance. Ka! His palm turned into a dragon claw and grabbed at the deacon. The deacon was horrified as he dodged. However, the 8th elder's head was in Wang Xian's hand. No! The 8th elder screamed in fear when he saw that he was caught. Chapter 2989. Dragon Palace vs. Cosmic Center Tribes 5-inch. The first one. Wang Xian grabbed the head of the three-eyed elder with a cold look in his eyes. With a swing of his arm, he threw the head to the back. Hee. Behind him, Tianjun, who was setting up a formation in the dragon cave, waved his arm and grabbed the head, locking it in place. Let go of me. Let go of me now. Otherwise, the three-eyed tribe will not let you off so easily. The 8th elder of the three-eyed tribe screamed in fear. I'll see your entire three-eyed tribe perish. Tianjin swept a glance at him and said coldly, Kill. After capturing the three-eyed elder, Wang Xian immediately attacked the four-armed tribe's elder Kwang. His terrifying speed, powerful defense, and offensive power shocked the four-armed tribe's experts. Kill that bastard from the Dragon Palace. Several of the 5th Order God Emperor realm four-armed tribesmen roared with killing intent. Roar, roar. But right at this time, a wind divine dragon swayed its gigantic body and charged towards the few 5th Order God Emperor realm experts who were attacking Wang Xian. PFFF. The instant the wind divine dragon appeared, Roving Demon appeared behind one of the 5th Order God Emperor realm experts of the four-armed tribe. His sickle-like arms pierced towards their heads. The sudden attack caused the God Emperor's body to stiffen. You're courting death. Wang Xian snorted. With a swing of his arm, the 5 elements grindstone attacked the expert who was killed by Roving Demon. Bam! Roving Demon's attack, and the 5 elements grindstone's attack sent that expert flying. Wang Xian moved, and continued to attack Elder Kuei of the four-armed tribe. Shit! Elder Kwang was filled with fear when he saw Wang Xian locking onto him. Stop him! Stop him! He screamed in fear. However, the four-armed tribe was much weaker than the Dragon Palace. How could they stop him? Bam! Wang Xian's dragon claw clawed at him. The severely injured Elder Kwang wanted to escape, but the 5 elements grindstone released a restraining force that trapped him. Bam! The huge dragon claw grabbed his body, Wang Xian flapped his unbeginning saint wings and left. Not good, Elder Kuei has been caught. One of the deacons roared in horror. However, at this moment, the rest of the emperor gods had no time to care about Elder Kuang. All of them were pale as they faced the members of Dragon Palace in front of them. Let me go. Our four-arm tribe has 7th Order God Emperor Realm experts, and even more 6th Order God Emperor Realm experts. Killing us will only bring disaster to your Dragon Palace. Elder Kuang struggled free from Wang Xian's dragon claw and bellowed with a pale face. Noisy, Wang Xian landed in front of the dragon cave. With a swing of his arm, a sharp sword materialized in front of him and pierced towards him. Ah! Screams of agony could be heard, causing him to cry out in pain. Jia jia jia. In order to severely injure the two of you, we have gone through a lot of trouble. Even we are heavily injured, don't think that you will die so easily. The injured Yaki and Yaki revealed cold expressions. They waved their arms and black liquids landed on their bodies. Ah! Very soon, an incomparably shrill voice rang out from Elder Kuang's mouth. When the 8th elder of the three-eyed tribe saw this, his face turned extremely pale. What are you going to do? What is the Dragon Palace trying to do? As long as you don't kill us, we will agree to anything. The 8th elder of the three-eyed tribe roared in fear. Jia jia jia. You want the Dragon Palace to kneel and submit? Now, let us see you kneel and submit. Yaki stared at the 2 elders of the three-eyed tribe and the four-armed tribe and said coldly, Ah, even if you kill me I won't kneel. The four-armed tribe will annihilate you. Don't be arrogant. Elder Kuang bellowed with killing intent. Since you aren't willing to kneel, what's the use of your legs? Yaki said coldly. With a swing of his arm, drops of liquid landed on his legs. The liquid immediately turned into horrifying worms that gnawed on his legs. Ah! An incomparably painful scream came from his mouth. Wang Xian swept an indifferent glance across the battlefield before turning his attention back to the battlefield. He wasn't affected by the torture from Yaki and Yaki. The Dragon Palace had no grudges with the four-armed tribe and three-eyed tribe, but they wanted to annihilate the Dragon Palace and make it submit. Kneel and submit? Since that was the case, they had to bear the Dragon Palace's revenge. They better not tell the other tribes the way to enter this place. Otherwise, I'll let the Yaki and Yaki torture you for a period of time before killing you. Wang Xian's heart was filled with killing intent. It was an overwhelming massacre in front of him. The weakest in the Dragon Palace was at the 8th Order God King realm, and close to 8,000 God Emperors. In a short period of time, the God King realm experts of the 2 tribes were all killed. Only 700 to 800 God Emperors were struggling to resist. However, it was only a matter of time before they died. SSS, the forces in the center of the universe. Over 1,000 God Emperors are being slaughtered by the Dragon Palace. They don't even have the strength to resist. Look at the strength of the Dragon Palace members. The weakest is at the 8th Order God King realm, and there are close to 2 million of them. This is too terrifying. They only used 1% of their strength to annihilate our bedazzling Star Palace. How terrifying! The citizens of the bedazzling Star Palace looked on in shock. The territorial lord and the rest of the God Emperors pursed their lips. Wasn't it just like what the surrounding people had said? There were close to 8,000 God Emperors in the Dragon Palace. 1% was still 70 to 80, not to mention the other members of the Dragon Palace. The combined strength of the other forces in the bedazzling Star Palace was less than 1% of the Dragon Palace. The gap was huge. Ah! Screams rang out incessantly. The powerful dragons of the Dragon Palace swayed in the void and attacked the God Emperors of the 2 tribes. The God Emperors fell one after another. Even a 5th Order God Emperor realm expert would be killed under such a siege. The battle ahead was an eye-opener for everyone in the bedazzling Star Palace. Close to 10,000 God Emperors were slaughtering each other. More than 1,000 God Emperors had fallen. In the Dragon Cave, the 8th elder of the three-eyed tribe and Elder Kuang, who was screaming in pain, watched their clansmen fall one after another. Their eyes were filled with despair. When they entered the bedazzling Star Palace, they thought that it would be a fortuitous encounter. They were even looking forward to getting a flood dragon as a mount. But now, Dragon King, Their communication stone plates didn't send out the method to enter the bedazzling star palace. I'm not sure if the others did. At this time Tianjun, who was fiddling with 2 communication stone plates, said, let me check it out. As Wang Xian spoke, he waved his arm and grabbed the head of the three-eyed tribe's 8th elder. Soul capture. A surge of energy entered his mind. The heavily injured and weakened 8th elder of the three-eyed tribe had no strength to resist. Chapter 2990. An opportunity to fight back on Wang. Within the dragon lair, Wang Xian was reading the memories of the 8th elder of the three-eyed tribe. In the void ahead, the members of the dragon palace were wreaking havoc as they surrounded the god emperors of the 2 tribes. The outcome of this battle had been completely determined. None of the vanguard troops of the 2 tribes had managed to escape. Die! Roar! A few minutes later, the Wind Divine Dragon, Roving Qitian, and Roving Crab surrounded the last 2 fifth-order god emperors. The 1,900,000 members of the Dragon Palace surrounded them and stared at them coldly. No! Along with a scream filled with unwillingness, it signaled the end of the battle. Wang Xian opened his eyes, which were shining brightly. Summon your void god kingdom. He stared at the head in front of him and ordered in a deep voice. Cough cough. The 8th elder of the three-eyed tribe opened his mouth. 5 seconds later, a void god kingdom appeared in front of the dragon lair. What did you do to him? What kind of weird sorcery did you use? Elder Kuang of the four-armed tribe screamed in horror when he saw the void god kingdom of the three-eyed tribe's elder. His life force is too strong. Yaqui Devil Fiend, teach him another lesson. Wang Xian looked at Elder Kuang and instructed Yaqui Devil Fiend. Yes, Dragon King. We are good at this. Yaqui Devil Fiend and Yaqui Devil Fiend sized Elder Kuang up coldly. Soon even more miserable screams were heard. This time, it wasn't just simple torture, but also draining his life force. Wang Xian stood by the side and digested the information he had just received. The good news was that the three-eyed tribe did not tell the other tribes about the entrance to the bedazzling starry sky. This was because to the three-eyed tribe, it would take a month for the real army to arrive. It wouldn't be too late to tell them then. Moreover, they would never expect all of them to die here. Therefore, it wasn't important to tell the other tribes about the way to enter the bedazzling starry sky. Apart from that, Wang Xian had also obtained a lot of useful information from the 8th elder's memories. Dragon King. All of them have been taken care of. At this time, more than 1 million members of the Dragon Palace flew over and greeted Wang Xian respectfully. Very good. Wang Xian revealed a satisfied expression. Bring the resources back. Prime Minister Turtle, you'll be in charge of arranging the advancement. It's Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle immediately nodded. All right. Wang Xian looked at Elder Chiu of the four-armed tribe, who was screaming in pain. His eyes were filled with coldness as he looked at his miserable state. He swung his arm and grabbed him by the neck. Kill me, just kill me. Ha ha ha. It won't be long before our four-armed tribe exterminates all of you in Dragon Palace. None of you will be spared. Ha 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 ha. Elder Kuang roared in a frenzy. Wang Xian let out a cold snort. It's still uncertain who will be the one to destroy who. As he spoke, he immediately used soul assimilation. In the battle of Soul Devourer's power, Elder Kuang, who was on the verge of death, had no power to resist. Waves of information flowed into Wang Xian's mind, causing him to reveal a faint smile. The entrance of the four-armed tribe did not spread out either. After ordering them to summon their god nations back, Wang Xian swung his arm and killed the 2 of them. Both god nations were kept in the dragon lair. Let's go back, Wang Xian said to Enlai. Yes, Dragon King. Enlai nodded. Xiaolan and the rest also entered the dragon lair. In the next moment, the entire dragon lair disappeared. In the sky, there was nothing except for a slight remnant aura. Disappeared? Seeing everyone in the dragon lair and dragon palace disappear into the void, everyone on the Jiuming planet was shocked. They disappeared directly. This was the power of the dragon palace. They're too strong. Even the dragon palace, a force in the center of the universe, could exterminate them easily. Some people exclaimed. The domain lord and the other emperor gods were also shocked. They exchanged looks and left immediately. The news of this battle spread across the entire resplendent starry sky. The resplendent starry sky would soon be shaken by the Dragon Palace. It would be a major earthquake. Dragon King, how's the situation now? Back in the Dragon Palace, Prime Minister Turtle Tianjun and the rest asked Wang Xian. The situation is pretty good. The two races have not found the way to enter the resplendent starry sky. However, we can't be careless. The entrance to our place has appeared. Given the strength of the experts in the center of the universe, it won't take long for them to enter. Wang Xian said, Dragon King, we've obtained 2 6th Order God Emperor corpses. I'll advance first. After I advance, we can set up some arrays at the entrances. If the two races don't have a 7th Order God Emperor Realm Array Master, it will be difficult to break the arrays in a short period of time. As long as we have a few years, we won't have to be afraid of them. Tianjun said. Wang Xian nodded. Tianjun, you advance first. Also, I've grasped an opportunity for us to counterattack. The 8 Desolate Land is the lair of the Inkhang clan. The Inkhang clan is a primary race in the universe. Their level is even higher than domain-level races. A primary race in the universe has supremacies. They can enter the center of the universe. The Inkhang clan is a sorcerer race. Before they were annihilated, they destroyed the race inheritance grand array and self-destructed to cover their lair. They did this to prevent their enemies from obtaining their race's inheritance and some of their treasures. Indeed, their enemies did not obtain any treasures and were unable to enter. Now, the ruins of the Inkhang clan has become a treasure trove. Many races and domain-level races are exploring this place, hoping to obtain the treasures here. I've obtained some information from the 3-eyed race and 4-armed race. We can ask and lie to bring us in to explore. Wang Xian's eyes flickered. The ruins of the Inkhang clan was a treasure trove at the edge of the center of the universe. Hundreds of domain-level races had been exploring this place all year round. However, many of the treasures in the core area had not been found. The array of the sorcerer race was not simple. Even supremacies would find it hard to barge in. Moreover, the sorcerer race was very strange. If an expert tried to break the array forcefully, it might cause a chain reaction that could cause the entire area to explode. At that time, all the treasures in the area would be destroyed. However, Enlai was different. His instantaneous movement was not restricted by the array. He could teleport over in an instant. If the Dragon Palace could obtain some resources from the ruins of the Inkhang clan, the 4-armed race and 3-eyed race could be annihilated. Tianjun, upgrade the 6th Order God Emperor fighter jet. Also, increase the combat strength of Roving Demon and 8-eyed race to the 6th Order God Emperor realm, with 1 6th Order God Emperor realm corpse and 10 5th Order God Emperor realm corpses. After that, we'll explore the ruins of the Inkhang clan. Wang Xian continued instructing. Chapter 2991. An opportunity to fight back. Below the Inkhang clan was a primary race in the universe. The center of the universe was huge, and its surface area was billions of times bigger than the dazzling starry sky. Just the ruins of the Inkhang clan alone was a few hundred times bigger than the dazzling starry sky. And this was only part of the ruins. One could imagine how big the territory of the Inkhang clan was. Billions of years had passed, but the ruins of the Inkhang clan still existed. Some people said that any force that could enter the ruins of the Inkhang clan would at least reach the level of a domain-level race. If a domain-level race could obtain the treasures inside, they might be able to find an opportunity to step into the primary race of the universe. Reaching the primary race of the universe in the center of the universe was a watershed. This was because reaching the primary race of the universe would mean that a race would possess the power of inheritance. This power of inheritance involved bloodline, cultivation, and secret arts. The reason why the powerful races in the universe could continue to exist was because of the strength of their bloodline, cultivation, and secret arts. Many domain-level races gathered around the Inkhang clan because they wanted to be one step closer. Chief, bad news. Our Elder Kwang's spirit tablet is broken. The spirit tablets of all the clansmen that followed Elder Kwang are also broken. Just as Wang Xian was sorting out the information about the Ink Han clan, in the center of the universe, 200,000 light-years away from the ruins of the Ink Han clan, there was a race force, the Four-Armed Race. The Four-Armed Race was not very strong in the nearby starry sky. They were the weakest in the center of the universe. In a cultivation room in a majestic mountain range of divine trees, a middle-aged man rushed in and reported anxiously, the spirit tablets of Elder Kwang and the rest are broken?" The old man, who was sitting cross-legged on the futon, stood up immediately with a cold look in his eyes. "Yes, Chief. All the clansmen that went to the space within the Ink Han clan have their spirit tablets broken. This is most likely the doing of the three-eyed race." The middle-aged man bowed and said, "The spirit tablet represented a person's life. Once the spirit tablet was broken, it meant that the person was dead." Wang, the chief of the Four-Armed Race, was expressionless. With a wave of his arm, a mystical black mirror appeared in his hand. With a wave of his arm, the mirror rotated and an image appeared on it. In the scene, Elder Kwang was killed by a youth. There was a group of people around the youth, as well as some desolate beast-like creatures. The elder's eyes flickered with black light as he stared at the death reflection mirror. To the side, he saw a head with 3 eyes. It wasn't done by the three-eyed race. They died in that part of the starry sky. The scene in the death mirror slowly disappeared as the chief of the Four-Armed tribe spoke with sparkling eyes. "What? Was it done by someone from that starry sky? Didn't the information we received say that the starry sky is very weak? There are only 100 Emperor God experts?" The middle-aged man was slightly shocked. Even though their Four-Armed tribe's vanguard wasn't strong, they had Elder Kwang with them. Elder Kwang was a 6th-order God Emperor Realm expert. Being able to kill a 6th-order God Emperor Realm expert meant that the other side had a 7th-order God Emperor Realm expert. Contact the Three-Eyed Tribe and talk to them about that starry sky. The Three-Eyed Tribe has the eyes of the undead, so they can get more information. The leader of the Four-Armed Tribe said. "Yes, Patriarch." The middle-aged man immediately responded and left the cultivation room. "Interesting. His growth is actually so fast. The Divine Dragon's inheritance? Or the Ink Han clan's inheritance?" The eyes of the Four-Armed Tribe's patriarch flickered as he looked at the information beside him. It was detailed information about the Dragon Palace's development. However, this information was completely inconsistent with the strength displayed by the Dragon Palace. However, according to the speed of development, it wasn't impossible. The eyes of the undead reflects the images of the dead. The Three-Eyed Tribe should be able to get more information. It's a pity that we were careless and didn't find a way to enter the starry sky. Otherwise, we could have sent people to investigate in secret. He muttered to himself as he waved his 4 muscular arms, falling into deep thought. As the patriarch of the Four-Armed Tribe, his courage, temperament, and ability to deal with crises weren't something an ordinary God Emperor could compare to. "Dragon King, we've completed our advancement." Inside the Dragon King Hall, the 8 branches sky formations Roving Yao, Roving Crab, and the others flew over with smiles on their faces. In half a month's time, the 8 branches sky formation's 8 branches sky formation had completed their breakthroughs. Roving Crab had also broken through after devouring 2 6th-order God Emperor Realm experts. Currently, the Dragon Palace had 4 6th-order God Emperor Realm experts. This is the information that I've compiled over the past half a month. Take a look first. After you're done, we'll head to the 2 exits. And Lai, take a closer look too. Wang Xian passed the information that he had compiled over the past half a month to them. This is information on the ruins of the Ink Han tribe. Our resplendent starry sky is already considered to be at the periphery of the ruins. Even though we can explore the ruins from all directions, we aren't clear about the situation here. Therefore, this time, we'll enter the ruins from the direction of the center of the cosmos. In the center of the cosmos, many people have done a detailed exploration of the Ink Han tribe. Many of the treasures of the Ink Han tribe have been locked down by them. However, no one has been able to enter. We can enter through and lie. Wang Xian said to them. Don't worry, Dragon King. As long as I, Enlai, am around, any array formation is useless. Hee. Enlai said confidently. Wang Xian nodded his head with a smile as he watched them go through the information. Dragon King, we can set off now. An hour later, Sky Formation, Orochi, and the rest looked at each other and spoke. Alright, Sky Formation. Pass the prepared array formation altar to Enlai. Enlai, bring us over. Wang Xian nodded his head immediately. No problem. Enlai answered immediately and took over the thousands of altars from Sky Formation. These altars were used to summon demons and were fixed on the array formation by Sky Formation. As long as they were placed at a spot, Enlai could teleport there instantly. Enlai could teleport himself. However, if he wanted to teleport others, he would need a summoning altar. Moreover, he could only teleport people to the top of the summoning altar. Even though it was inconvenient, such an ability was still insane. Without Enlai's ability, it would be extremely difficult for the Dragon Palace to improve rapidly. In less than 5 minutes after Enlai left, he returned to the Dragon King Hall. Dragon King, let's go. Enlai said as he shrouded Wang Xian and the rest. The few of them disappeared instantly. The next moment, they appeared at the entrance where the four-armed tribe came from. Chapter 2992. This entrance is the weakest one. Even a divine emperor would be able to break through this place. However, this place is at the very edge of the place, and there are very few people here. It's not easy to be discovered. Have an array, seal this place again, and try not to be discovered by others. Wang Xian and the rest appeared at the entrance where the four-armed tribe and the rest entered the starry sky. Wang Xian instructed Tianjun. This entrance was also the most dangerous one. One did not need to be very strong, nor did they need to use too many techniques to pass through it. The only advantage was that this place was more secluded. It was hard to be discovered by the huge ruins outside. However, the four-armed tribe already knew the rough location of the entrance. If they were to search outside, they might be able to enter within a few months. Tianjun could set up some illusory arrays and defensive arrays here to hide for a longer time. They might even be able to buy a few years for the Dragon Palace to develop. After a few years, the Dragon Palace might not be afraid of them. Yes, Dragon King. Leave this to me. Tianjun nodded his head and scanned his surroundings. With a swift movement, he flew outside. Wang Xian and the rest followed closely behind. Wang. After exiting the exit, a vast void appeared in front of them. Wang Xian scanned the surroundings with his Yin-Yang 5 Elements dragon eyes. He turned around. Is this the ruins of the Incan dynasty? Looking at the huge ruins in the chaotic space, they were astounded. The lair of a tribe in the center of the universe was so huge and terrifying. Just the remnant chaotic energy was enough to make one shudder. The chaotic energy within was enough to kill universe venerable level existences. Vast and shocking. Is this the center of the universe? Tianjun murmured as he looked around. Even when he was at his peak, he had never been to the center of the universe. This is just the periphery of the ruins of the Incan dynasty. Alright, seal this place. Let's go to the center of the ruins. Wang Xian said with a smile. Tianjun nodded. He scanned the surroundings and began to set up arrays. Wang Xian and the rest waited at the side. After 2 days, Tianjun had set up a large number of arrays to conceal the area. After which, they teleported to another place. Compared to the first entrance, the other entrance was much more complicated. Without a guide, if one was lucky, they would be able to enter in a short period of time. If they were unlucky, they would never be able to leave. Therefore, Wang Xian and the rest did not conceal this entrance. This place belongs to the center of the universe. After exiting from the entrance of the three-eyed tribe, they were surrounded by dilapidated buildings. Wang Xian and the group of 6 walked out with anticipation on their faces. Orochi glanced around and said curiously, "Yes, this is already the center of the universe, but it's still very remote. Come, let's go out." As Wang Xian spoke, he flew in a direction according to the memories in his mind. The surroundings were filled with dilapidated buildings. The entire lair of the Incan clan floated in the void. It consisted of dozens of continents and 9,999 planets. The Great Formation of the Emohan clan used these 9,999 planets as the foundation of the formation. When the formation was activated, it sealed off a part of the world. Now, some of the planetary formations had been broken, and some of the continents had also been found. Wang Xian and the rest flew for a total of 5 days. We're out. 5 days passed. In front of them was a pure void. There were stars in the void. The star in the middle was unusually huge, a few hundred times the size of the surrounding stars. The star emitted a red glow, and they could see figures flying on it. That's the refining sun star. The flames emitted by the refining sun star are very gentle and can remove impurities. It's a very good star for body tempering. Even if an emperor god were to temper their body on it, it would still be very useful. Moreover, the gravity of that star is hundreds of thousands of times stronger than the other stars. Emperor gods can barely fly on it. Wang Xian looked at the star in front of him and said, "Dragon King, you're saying that everyone on that star is an emperor god expert?" Tianjun and the others looked at the figure on the huge star in astonishment and exclaimed. Wang Xian nodded and said, "This is the center of the universe." No wonder, according to the records, most of the great formations are based on stars. Some of the stars contain boundless energy. I'm afraid the refining sun star in front of us can only be slightly damaged by a full force attack from an emperor god expert. Tianjun sighed. "Let's go. We'll fly to the center of the Han dynasty race ruins." Wang Xian chuckled as he flew towards the right. There are all kinds of people here, and all kinds of demonic beasts. After flying for more than an hour, there were more and more races around them. There were humans with 2 heads, humans with tails, humans with 2 horns on their heads, and humans with intelligence from other races. Heads were huge. Arms were huge. Round type. There were all kinds of them. It was as though they had entered a fantasy world in a movie. Boom, boom, boom. "Dragon King, there's a battle over there." At this time, the roar of a battle came from the right. Enlai's eyes flickered as he looked over. Wang Xian and the rest looked over and saw 2 second-order god emperors fighting. There were also other experts watching the show. They did not linger and continued to fly along the Han dynasty race ruins. "There's a teleportation array on the planet ahead. We'll teleport directly to the center." After flying for another few hours, Wang Xian saw a planet on the other side of the ruins. The planet looked very old, and there were many people moving around on it. This was one of the 9,999 planets of the Han dynasty race ruins. Now that the restrictions on the planet had been broken, it was occupied by some forces. "Let's go." They landed on the planet and came to the teleportation array according to their memories. The Han dynasty race ruins were huge. If they were to fly, they would not be able to reach the center even after a few years. They could only use the teleportation array. After paying a hefty sum of divine stones, they came to a planet in the center of the Han dynasty race ruins. As soon as they walked out of the teleportation array, they saw a very eye-catching building. It was a huge heaven-reaching tower that reached the sky. Wang Xian and the rest could not see the top of the tower when they looked up. This is the heaven-reaching tower. It used to be a training ground for the disciples of the Han dynasty. There are 99 levels in the heaven-reaching tower. Every level that you climb up will give you some rewards. Now the highest person has reached level 55. Some people say that this is the inheritance land of the Han dynasty race. Wang Xian stared at the heaven-reaching tower in front of him. His first target was this heaven-reaching tower. Chapter 2993. Reaching the top of the tower, there were 99 floors in the tower. There were rewards for every floor that was cleared. As a disciple of the Han clan, the Tower of Trials wasn't a place that anyone could enter. Only sorcerers could enter. Otherwise, they would be stopped by the array formation. The trial of the Tower of Trials was simple. The Han clan belonged to the sorcerer lineage, and they were more proficient in the heaven and earth array formation. Their disciples and clansmen also focused on the cultivation of array formation. Only by deciphering the array formation could one obtain the corresponding rewards. However, there was another requirement to enter the Tower of Trials. One's age couldn't exceed 5 million years old. This was a huge threshold. One had to be a sorcerer lineage, and one had to be younger than 5 million years old. At 5 million years old, those who could reach the First Order God Emperor realm in array formation were already considered to be the elites of the clan. This was the reason why the Tower of Trials only reached the 55th floor billions of years ago. Even so, a large number of sorcerers entered the Tower of Trials. Even if they couldn't obtain any treasures, they could still train here. Dragon King, this is our first target? Enlai stared at the Tower of Trials in front of him, his eyes flickering. That's right, this is the place. The entire Tower of Trials is filled with array formations. All kinds of restrictions have no effect on you. Enter and take away the treasures inside. Wang Xian said with a smile. No problem. Enlai nodded confidently. They moved and immediately flew towards the direction of Tongtian Tower. 10 minutes later, they arrived at the bottom of the Tower of Trials. In front of the huge Tower of Trials, they felt incomparably small. It's so vast. Is this the power of a universe supremacy? Orochi couldn't help but exclaim. A universe supremacy can't build such a vast Tower of Trials. This place of trials was built by the entire Inkhang clan. There might be hundreds of supremacies participating in it. Tianjin lifted his head and said, the entrance is in front. Enlai, we'll wait for you here. Wang Xian looked at Enlai and said, yes, Dragon King. Enlai nodded his head. He moved and flew forward. Let's wait here for the good news. Wang Xian chuckled and waited quietly at the bottom of the platform. This Tongtian Tower is too difficult. Emperor God Hongtian has already announced the method to break the formation of the first 55 floors, but I can only reach the 43rd floor. I really don't know how Emperor God Hongtian managed to reach the 55th floor. How can you be compared to Emperor God Hongtian? Back then, God Emperor Hongtian was a prodigy whose name shook an entire region. He broke through to the Second Order God Emperor realm at the age of 5 million, and has already reached the peak of the God Emperor realm. I wonder why the Inkhang clan built such a monstrous Tongtian Tower in the first place. According to historical records, even the highest disciple of the Inkhang clan could only reach the 70th level. Haha, the Inkhang clan is a bunch of lunatics. There are records that say that if a member of the Inkhang clan can reach the top of Skysplit Tower, they will immediately become the young patriarch. There were a lot of people around Tongtian Tower, and all of them were young faces. Sounds of discussion could be heard. Wang Xian and the rest listened quietly at the side. Now that they had just arrived, they were not very familiar with the nearby forces. Even if Wang Xian and Orochi knew something about it, it was from the memories of the four-armed and three-eyed tribes. Rumble, rumble, rumble. However, at this moment, a loud rumble was heard, and the entire Tongtian Tower rippled with energy. There was light coming from above. What? Someone has reached the 56th level of the Tongtian Tower. SSS, the 56th level of the Tongtian Tower is lit up. Someone actually broke Emperor God Hongtian's record. The sudden change made many people lift their heads and look at the sky above Tongtian Tower in shock. At the 56th level, a powerful light shot out. This light meant that someone had entered. Ever since Emperor God Hongtian broke through to the 55th level, it had been hundreds of millions of years since anyone had made it to the next level. However, it happened today. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Just as the surrounding people, and even the people on this land were shocked, the entire Tongtian Tower shook again. Dazzling light shot out from the 57th level. This is impossible. When the surrounding people saw the 57th level lit up, their faces changed drastically. How is this possible? He just broke through to the 56th level, and now the 57th level is lit up? Is there something wrong with the Tongtian Tower? It's absolutely impossible to climb up 2 levels in such a short period of time. The surrounding young men shouted in disbelief. They had entered the Tongtian Tower before, and knew how difficult it was to climb to the next level. Someone had taken decades to climb to the next level. How strong must one be to make breakthroughs in such a short period of time? Rumble, rumble, rumble. But just when everyone was still in disbelief, the Tong Tian Tower shook again. The 58th level lit up. At this moment, everyone was dumbfounded. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Not long after, the 59th level lit up. The 60th level lit up. Everyone in the surrounding area went crazy. Is there something wrong with the Tong Tian Tower? There must be something wrong with the Tong Tian Tower. Hurry, let's go in and take a look. Some of the surrounding youths roared in shock. They immediately flew into the Tong Tian Tower. Rumble, rumble, rumble. At the same time, all the experts within the radius of a few hundred light years looked towards the Tong Tian Tower. Their eyes were filled with astonishment. One by one, the experts rushed over and stared at the Tong Tian Tower in astonishment. The rumble of the Tong Tian Tower was incessant, and the layers of space radiated with dazzling light. Even if it was a few 100 million kilometers away, it could be seen clearly. One by one, the experts flew over and stared ahead in astonishment. It's the 85th level. Is there something wrong with the Tong Tian Tower? Layers of light radiated. No one would believe that someone was breaking the array inside. No one could break the array at such a speed. Wang, an old man exuding a powerful aura, moved and flew towards the entrance of the Tong Tian Tower. It's Emperor God Hong Tian. Emperor God Hong Tian is here too. Some young men were in awe when they saw that figure. Emperor God Hong Tian stared at the entrance of the Tong Tian Tower. A force of array appeared in front of him and blocked his way. The array of the Tong Tian Tower is still in operation. What happened up there? Emperor God Hong Tian stared at the sky with a complicated expression when he saw himself being blocked by the array. The layers of the Tong Tian Tower continued to light up, attracting the attention of countless people. Wang Xian stood below and swept his gaze across the surroundings. Immediately, he revealed a surprised look. He did not expect that there would be such a huge commotion, nor did he expect that there would be so many experts coming. Chapter 2994. Dragon King, there are many experts around us. Around Skysplit Tower, Heavenly Array's eyes swept over the surroundings. He looked at the detection compass in his hand and whispered, Wang Xian nodded and scanned the surroundings with his yin-yang 5 elements dragon eyes. There were hundreds of 5th order god emperors, and above within a few hundred light years. Gosh, this is the edge of the center of the universe. If it's the chaotic continent, wouldn't the god emperors be worse than dogs? Orochi said in shock. Not to that extent. Wang Xian smiled as he stared at the Tong Tian Tower in front of him. More and more experts gathered in the surroundings. All of them stared at the scene in shock. However, no matter what method they used, they couldn't get into the Tong Tian Tower. Wang. Hung long long long. At this moment another rumble was heard. This time, it was even louder. In the next moment, the entire Tong Tian Tower radiated with dazzling divine light, as though it was celebrating a coronation. This, level 99. He reached the top. He reached the top. What's going on? Is there something wrong with the Tong Tian Tower? Or did someone really reach the top? Impossible. It's impossible for anyone to reach the top. Even the supreme talents of the universe would find it hard to reach the top. Incredulous voices came from the surroundings as everyone stared blankly at the Tong Tian Tower that was radiating with dazzling divine light. Wang. He Dragon King. And Lai appeared beside Wang Xian and shouted excitedly at a place where none of the experts were paying attention. How's the reward? And Lai. Upon hearing En Lai's voice, Wang Xian and the rest asked excitedly, Dragon King, let's talk in the Tong Tian Tower. En Lai said as he shrouded Wang Xian and the rest. In the next moment, they appeared in a huge cultivation room. From the cultivation room, they could overlook the surrounding starry sky. They could clearly see the god emperors looking over in shock. This was the 99th level of the Tong Tian Tower. The 99th level of the Tong Tian Tower. Wang Xian and the rest looked around with excitement in their eyes. He Dragon King. These are all the rewards I got from the Tong Tian Tower. The Tong Tian Tower places all the rewards in the center. En Lai pointed to the center and said, Ha! Wang Xian and the rest looked over, and walked over immediately. Dragon King, there aren't many resources, but there are dozens of high-grade elixir pills. The rest are all this kind of stuff. Enlai walked over, and pointed at the center of the table carved from divine stone. On the table, there were more than 20 jade bottles filled with elixirs. At the side, there was a humanoid sculpture that emitted a mysterious luster. Apart from these, there were also more than 10 artifacts and compasses used by wizards. There weren't many things. However, a few of the jade bottles contained pills of very high grades. This is the Legacy Clan Idol, the Legacy Clan Idol. When Tianjun saw the human-shaped statues, his face lit up with excitement. Oh, inherited clan statue? Wang Xian looked at the human-shaped statue with sparkling eyes. The inherited clan idol was not an ordinary item. Every powerful race relied on 3 things to survive. The first was their bloodline, the second was their cultivation, and the third was their secret techniques. As long as these were present, the species would not decline. Just like the divine dragon race, the powerful bloodline, the cultivation method of the divine dragon transformation, and the offensive secret techniques of the divine dragon transformation. This was the core of the divine dragon race. As long as these were present, the divine dragon race would not decline. In fact, the moment a purebred divine dragon was born, the cultivation method of the divine dragon transformation would be engraved in its mind. The soul would be passed down from generation to generation, and would never perish. However, such a soul could only be passed down from generation to generation. Only the pinnacle races in the universe could do this. Ordinary elementary races in the universe would engrave the secret techniques in the Legacy Clan Idol. Such Legacy Clan idols could only be engraved by experts at the supremacy level. Moreover, it would consume a lot of energy. However, such Legacy Clan idols had a very powerful ability. It could allow the tribesmen to quickly comprehend the secret techniques engraved within. Every Legacy Clan idol was extremely precious. This was because it stored the foundation of a race, and the foundation of combat. The stronger the race, the more Legacy Clan idols there would be. Of course, the pinnacle races in the universe were excluded. For example, Wang Xian had inherited the Divine Dragon legacy. His soul would have some combat instincts of the Divine Dragon, and could comprehend the secret techniques of the Divine Dragon. This was also the terrifying thing about the pinnacle races in the universe. The Ink Han family is an elementary race in the universe. Their Legacy Clan idols have no imprints, and can be comprehended directly. Wang Xian said to Sky Formation. The Legacy Clan idols also had different levels. The Legacy Clan idols of powerful races would have a soul imprint that could only be comprehended by members of the same race. It would be useless to people from other races. These Legacy Clan idols will be of great benefit to me, Sky Formation said passionately. Due to special circumstances, Sky Formation had evolved into a witch dragon. A witch dragon could fight beyond its level. However, the conditions to do so were related to the witchcraft that it had mastered. If it wasn't for the dragon field in the Dragon Palace, Sky Formation's evolution into a divine dragon, and the great increase in his comprehension, as well as the consumption of the eternal pregnancy fruit that allowed him to create his own witchcraft arrays, it would have been difficult for him to fight 2 levels higher. Even so, the witchcraft arrays that he created could not keep up with the recent increase in his speed of improvement. The Legacy Clan idols of the Ink Han family would be of great use to him. TSK, be it the Legacy Clan idols or these sorcerer equipment, they will be of great use to you. Orochi said enviously. Hehe, keep these Legacy Clan idols and sorcerer equipment for yourself. Wang Xian smiled at Sky Formation as he opened the jade bottles. The bottles of elixirs were the rewards the Ink Han family gave to the tribesmen who ascended the heaven-connecting tower. Elixirs corresponding to their cultivation would be given according to the number of floors they ascended. The elixirs in the 99th floor were 8th Order God Emperor Realm Divine Pills. The rest ranged from 2nd Order God Emperor Realm to 7th Order God Emperor Realm. Dragon King, these elixirs should be able to help you break through, right? Enlai asked Wang Xian. More than enough. Wang Xian's eyes shone with excitement. He had made the right decision to come here. Now that he was in the Ninth Order God King realm, he was only halfway to breaking through. This time, he would be breaking through to a whole new realm. From the Ninth Order God King realm to the First Order God Emperor realm. Fighting 6 ranks higher than him, he would possess the combat strength of a 7th Order God Emperor. Coupled with the unparalleled sacred wings, he would be able to kill a 7th Order God Emperor in an instant. He might not be able to annihilate the 4-armed tribe and the 3-eyed tribe, but he would be able to fight against them. Most importantly, they had only explored a corner of the Ink Han family's ruins. What realm would he be able to reach after exploring the entire ruins? How strong could the Dragon Palace be? Chapter 2995. What's going on in the Heaven-Reaching Tower? Are there any signs of changes in the Heaven-Reaching Tower? Countless experts gathered around the Heaven-Reaching Tower, at the center of the ruins of the Ink Han dynasty. One by one, the experts frowned and their expressions changed. From the outside, they could not see what was happening inside the Heaven-Reaching Tower. As the Heaven-Reaching Tower was built by the Ink Han dynasty, the entire Heaven-Reaching Tower would collapse if one were to force their way in. No one would do something that would harm others without benefiting themselves. Dragon King, you should improve your strength first. We will guard this place for you. At the 99th level of the Heaven-Reaching Tower, Orochi and the rest said to Wang Xian. Alright, I'll break through to my current realm first. Wang Xian nodded and revealed a smile. He waved his arm, opened all the jade bottles, and poured the elixir pills into his mouth. A large number of elixir pills were devoured and converted into dragon energy. 8 types of light shot out from Wang Xian's body. The 5 elements great grindstone spun on its own and circled above his head. The yin-yang dragon plate was like an ink painting, spinning around him. Waves of majestic dragon might radiated to the surroundings. Orochi and the rest stood guard by the side quietly. Tianjun was holding on to the inheritance tribe portrait and learning the spells and sorcery within. Ding! Congratulations to the host for leveling up and breaking through to the Emperor God realm. Ding! The host has broken through to the Emperor God realm and comprehended the nomological superpower, Dragon Eyes locking. Boom! The Dragon King, who was standing there with his eyes closed, swallowed a large number of elixir pills. The system's voice rang in his ears. Powerful auras radiated from his body. Dragon roars came from his body as 8 rays of light shot out to the surroundings. He opened his eyes slowly. A world of yin-yang, 5 elements and hurricane appeared in his dragon eyes. It was as though his eyes could seal off the entire world. It was frightening. What a powerful aura. The Dragon King has improved tremendously this time. At the side, Orochi and the others immediately looked over, and their faces were filled with awe. Phew! Wang Xian took a deep breath and began to retract his aura. Name: Wang Xian. Race: Yin-Yang 5 Elements Divine Dragon. 1 with the Dragon rank. First Order Void God Emperor. Divine Dragon Transformation 8th Transformation. Origin: 332123960500000000 Magic. Dominate the aquatic creatures. Dominate any aquatic creatures lower than your own level. Devour living things. Devour living things to extract the source. Control of the 5 elements cultivation technique. Divine Dragon Transformation Divine Powers. Soul Capture, Spirit Attachment Nomological Divine. Ability: Dragon Eyes Lock on Desolation Dharma Form. 5 elements Grindstone, Dragon Country in the Palm, Dragon Head Descending, 10,000-mile Dragon Body. Yin-Yang Polarity, Yin-Yang 5 Elemental Bowl. Divine Dragon Tail Whip. Law of Mastery. Metal, Wood, Water, Fire, Earth, Light. Dark Wind Divine Kingdom. Dragon Palace Own Dragon Palace. Level 9 Dragon Palace Members. 10324450. Looking at the information in his mind, he smiled. I've finally broken through to Emperor God Realm. Wang Xian murmured as he rubbed his eyes. The nomological divine ability was the strongest offensive method of a God Emperor expert. Condensing the laws into a divine ability possessed unfathomable power. Wang Xian's breakthrough this time was related to the superpower of the Dragon Eyes. Dragon Eyes lock 8 desolations. After executing it, 8 illusory divine dragons would fly out from the dragon eyes. They were the Yin-Yang 5 Elements Divine Dragon and the Wind Divine Dragon. The 8 divine dragons sealed a space and could attack. In this space, the enemy could not escape directly. Without breaking through the space, they could not return to their own god kingdom. It was similar to the array laid out by Tianjin, but more terrifying. Peak 7th Order God Emperor Realm Combat Power. Wang Xian's body trembled slightly as a majestic force spread out. Congratulations on your breakthrough, Dragon King. Roving Demon, Roving Crab, and Enlai congratulated. Tianjin also opened his eyes and congratulated. If there's nothing here, let's go somewhere else. Wang Xian said with a smile. Yes, Dragon King. Dragon King, wait here for a moment. Enlai nodded, and his figure instantly disappeared. In less than 10 seconds he returned. Dragon King, let's go. In the next moment, they appeared in the void more than 200 million kilometers away from the heaven-reaching tower. Enlai kept the sacrificial altar in the void, and looked in the direction of the heaven-reaching tower with surprise. So many people. It seems like there was a huge commotion just now, he said in surprise. It's been a long time since anyone could reach the next level in the heaven-reaching tower. You ascended to the top directly, which naturally caused a huge commotion. Tianjin said with a smile. Tisk tsk tsk. Enlai looked over with a smug smile on his face. Let's go. Our next target is those planets. Wang Xian said with a smile. A special existence like Enlai was rare in the entire universe. Hee Dragon King, watch my performance next. I'll scout the way for you guys first. Enlai said excitedly. He moved and disappeared in an instant. Wang Xian and the rest flew in the direction of the ruins. Looking at the huge stars that were connected together, they also felt extremely shocked. These planets were covered with chaotic energy. Some places were safe, while others were dangerous. Some planets had already found a way to enter, while others were completely sealed off. The true core was located in the center of these planets. It was an incomparably huge continent, with 18 continents forming a huge space. 999 stars guarded the center. However, after billions of years of exploration, there was a lot of information about the ruins of the Han dynasty. For example, one of the planets was used to plant sacred trees and sacred herbs. There was also a planet used to rear desolate beasts as mounts. There was also a planet with a special river that had a special ability. These 3 planets were very famous in the ruins of the Han dynasty. No one could enter them yet. Some people said that if one could enter, he would definitely get a lot of treasures. In particular, the planet used by the Han dynasty to plant sacred trees and sacred herbs would definitely have a lot of resources. After exploring the surrounding planets, Wang Xian and the rest were ready to enter the center. Three-eyed clan leader. Four-armed clan leader. Just as Wang Xian and the rest were exploring the ruins of the Han dynasty, 2 huge forces met at the void that Wang Xian came out from not long ago. Each force had about 5 million people. Some of them were riding on clouds, some were riding on powerful wild beasts, and some were stepping on sacred weapons. They were floating in the void, and each of them possessed great superpower. It was especially so for the leader of the three-eyed clan, who was riding on a rhinoceros-like wild beast with 1 eye and 1 horn. The leader of the four-armed clan was sitting on a treasure lotus. The leaders of the 2 clans had officially met. They were here for the dazzling divine dragon in the starry sky, and for the powerful opportunities. The error-free chapters of the Invincible Divine Dragon Cultivation System will continue to be updated on the mobile game bar. There will be no advertisements on the website. Please collect and recommend the mobile game bar. Please collect if you like the Invincible Divine Dragon Cultivation System. Invincible Divine Dragon Cultivation System. Chapter 2996. Four-Armed Tribe. Don't you know where the entrance is? The leaders of the 2 major forces in the center of the universe faced each other. The leader of the three-eyed tribe stared at the leader of the four-armed tribe with a pitch-black eye in between his eyebrows. We were too careless. It seems like you were too careless to join us. The leader of the four-armed tribe sat cross-legged on the golden lotus and said plainly, "It's not just the entrance. I saw thousands of emperor gods in the dragon palace. The rest of the members are also top-notch god kings." The black eye between the three-eyed tribe's leader's brows blinked as it replied, "Join forces." The leader of the four-armed tribe said, "Join forces and find the entrance first." That dragon palace might not only have obtained the inheritance of the divine dragon, but also the inheritance of the Incan tribe. The leader of the three-eyed tribe looked in the direction of the ruins of the Incan tribe with a deep gaze. It's highly possible that without the formation of the Incan tribe, we wouldn't have been completely annihilated. The leader of the four-armed tribe nodded. "Find the entrance, and we will split all the opportunities equally. Any objections?" The leader of the three-eyed tribe asked. "Sure." The leader of the four-armed tribe nodded with a smile. "Start searching." The leaders of the two tribes looked at the millions of subordinates behind them and ordered immediately. "Yes." The experts of the two tribes answered, and quickly began to search the surroundings. As the two tribes that had stood strong for billions of years, they could establish themselves in the center of the universe not because of recklessness, but because they were steady. They developed steadily. All the powerful tribes in the universe had a long history. "Dragon King, we have entered the planet where the divine tree and divine grass were once planted." Wang Xian and the rest had no idea that the two tribes were looking for the entrance to the resplendent starry sky. But even if they knew, they wouldn't care. At this moment, Enlai came to Wang Xian and the rest in the ruins of the Incan tribe and said excitedly, "Oh, let's go. Bring us there." Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and said immediately with excitement in his eyes, "Yes, Dragon King." Enlai nodded, and they disappeared in the next moment. This is such intense vitality. The scenery in front of them changed, and when they reappeared, they were on a planet full of vitality and greenery. Wang Xian and the rest took a deep breath and could feel a surge of vitality entering their bodies. Although it was much weaker than the life force in the Dragon Palace, it was still high enough. As expected of a primary race in the universe, Tianjin murmured, "Let's go, let's see if there are any divine trees, divine grasses, or other resources here." Wang Xian's eyes were burning with passion. With a shift of his body, he flew 10,000 meters into the sky. Buzz! Closing his eyes, he relied on the progenitor tree's ability to sense where the life force was denser. "Follow me." Wang Xian led them and flew towards a direction immediately. This planet was similar to an ordinary planet. Given their speed, they would be able to make one round around it in 2 hours. The entire planet was covered in all kinds of plants, and it was full of vitality. Inside, one could vaguely sense waves of vitality being guided into the planet from the void outside. The spiritual energy in the resplendent starry sky isn't as strong as the center of the universe because of this formation. The formation of the Incan family is really powerful, gathering at least millions of light-years worth of spiritual energy. Tianjin said in shock as he sensed the power of the formation around him. Something's not right. Logically speaking, if no one has entered this place for billions of years, the vitality here should be even denser, and there should be more divine trees and divine grasses here. After flying for a few minutes, Wang Xian vaguely felt something was amiss. Sensing that the vitality ahead was denser, he increased his speed. This is... When Wang Xian and the rest were about to reach that place, his eyes narrowed slightly. "Dragon King, there are buildings here, and there are signs of human activity." Tianjin's expression changed as he spoke in a deep voice. "Someone has entered this planet." Wang Xian stopped in his tracks, and his eyes flickered as he looked down. According to his memory, there were 9,999 stars in the Incan family, and more than 8,000 of them had been deciphered and entered by others. The planet they were on now was one that no one had deciphered, and no one had entered. Now there were millions of people looking for ways to enter this planet every day. However, from the looks of it, someone had already entered. Who is it? All of a sudden a cold voice sounded, following which, the entire space suddenly changed, and ripples appeared in the void. Below, a dozen middle-aged and old men flew out from a room below. "Oh no, Dragon King, The space here has been sealed. There's a 7th Order God Emperor Realm Array Master among them. Tianjun sensed the changes in the surroundings, and his expression changed slightly. He was very familiar with this type of array. However, at this moment, the array that covered the entire space had enveloped them completely. Someone has actually entered the Divine Garden Star. Kill him. The dozen middle-aged and old men who flew out had their faces darkened when they saw the gaze sweeping across them. Swish, swish, swish. The old man in the middle waved his arm, and a dazzling brush appeared in his hand. He drew it towards Wang Xian and the rest. A huge net appeared out of thin air, and it covered Wang Xian and the rest. Die! The dozen middle-aged and old men around him also waved their arms, and a brush appeared in their hands. Metallic swords filled with killing intent struck towards Wang Xian and the rest. There was no mercy. Courting death. Wang Xian sensed their killing intent and attacks, and his expression changed slightly. Swish! The unbeginning sacred wings appeared behind him, and he instantly accelerated to the limit. Bam! His right arm turned into a dragon claw, and he tore apart the lightning net formed by the array. Swish! In the next moment, Wang Xian pushed his speed to the limit, and appeared in front of the old man. What? So fast? The old man's expression changed drastically, and his heart sank when he saw Wang Xian's dragon claw coming towards him. Buzz buzz! His body released an incomparably powerful aura, and his body began to distort. In an instant, he appeared behind Wang Xian, and completely evaded his attack. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows slightly, and his dragon eyes swept across. Dragon eyes lock on 8 desolates. He focused his gaze, and 8 rays of light shot out from his eyes. 8 divine dragons flew out directly. The nomological divine dragons executed the dragon eyes lock on 8 desolates. This was also the first time Wang Xian executed it. The 8 illusory divine dragons appeared, and the entire space changed drastically. The ripples that covered the entire space began to collapse. Within the space, chains appeared out of thin air around the 7th rank God Emperor Sorcerer. Walala! The chains attacked him. Not good. Chapter 2997. The occupied deity's garden star down below. You're courting death. Chains covered the entire space. Around the old man, chains that were glowing in various colors wrapped around him. Wang Xian stared at him with murderous intent. He used his killer move, and sealed the surrounding space without saying a word. Clearly, he wanted to keep them here. Wang Xian didn't have to care about the background of such a person. My master won't let you off if you dare to kill me. The chains attacked the old man. The old man waved the brush in his hand and sharp sword slashed at the chains. He shouted in fear when he sensed Wang Xian's terrifying speed. Humph! Wang Xian snorted coldly. He had already arrived in front of the old man. His arms turned into dragon claws and grabbed at the old man. No! Sensing the threat from Wang Xian, the old man panicked and roared. As a 7th Order God Emperor Sorcerer, he had already sensed Wang Xian and the rest when they arrived. Moreover, Huang Xiaolong could vaguely sense their strength. The young man who attacked him was most likely a 7th Order God Emperor realm expert. However, he wasn't afraid. Given his strength and the sorcery he had mastered, he could definitely fight those who were stronger than him. However, he didn't expect the other party to have such terrifying speed and such a bizarre nomological superpower. Bam! Before he could react, he sensed a powerful force landing on him. Wang! A destructive force landed on him and entered his body. Pfft! The old man spat out a large amount of blood. Bam! Wang Xian swung his dragon claws again and landed on the old man's head. The old man was severely injured. Sorcerers who specialized in array formations were most afraid of enemies with terrifying speed like Wang Xian. Wang Xian's speed was the bane of the sorcerers. Stop! Let go of our senior brothers! The other dozen middle-aged and old men were shocked as they bellowed in a threatening manner. Bam 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 bam! Wang Xian flapped his unparalleled saint wings and attacked them instantly. The dragon claws penetrated their bodies. Cough cough cough. The dozen of them widened their eyes in disbelief. Their vitality was fading rapidly. You actually killed my junior brothers. My master won't let you off. He won't let you off. The eyes of the old man who was caught by Wang Xian shrunk as he roared in horror. Soul assimilation. Wang Xian's gaze was cold as the dragon claw grabbed his head. He used soul capture. No. The old man's eyes widened in shock, and his gaze began to slacken. Dragon King. At this time, Tianjun and the others flew over with ugly expressions. The battle just now only lasted for a split second. From start to finish, it didn't take more than 20 seconds. The sudden appearance of the dozen or so people who attacked them caused the faces of Tianjun and the others to turn extremely ugly. Fortunately, the Dragon King had already broken through. Otherwise, they could only escape with their tails between their legs. Wang Xian closed his eyes and absorbed the information in the mind of the old man. Emperor Hong Tian? Not long after, he opened his eyes and frowned slightly. Dragon King, what's wrong? Tianjun and the rest immediately asked when they heard the name. They had heard of this name not long ago. 100 million years ago, the master of this group of people, an expert called Emperor God Hong Tian, entered this place and obtained all the divine grass and divine wood in this place. Moreover, he saw that this place was full of vitality and used this place, as his own herb garden, to grow divine grass and divine wood. Now, Emperor Hong Tian possesses the strength of a peak god emperor and is a powerful sorcerer, Wang Xian said with a solemn tone. Someone actually beat us to it. Hearing Wang Xian's words, Tianjun and the rest did not look too good. Let's go. Let's leave this place immediately. Emperor Hong Tian should have sensed his disciple's death by now, Wang Xian said as he looked at Enlai. Dragon King, give me 10 seconds. Enlai nodded his head and disappeared. Wang Xian looked around and waved his arm, collecting all the corpses. There are some decent divine trees and divine plants here. Let's take them away. Wang Xian flew forward according to his memory. Tianjun and the rest immediately followed beside him. There are some 8th Order God Emperor and 9th Order God Emperor herbs and divine trees. This is indeed the herb garden of a peak God Emperor expert. Wang Xian and the rest arrived at the herb garden and kept it into the mother nest with a wave of his arm. According to his memory, Emperor Hong Tian had 10 such herb gardens on this planet. It was a pity that he did not dare to stay here any longer. They could only flee if they encountered a peak god emperor expert. Dragon King, I'll erase all traces of this space, Tianjun said as waves of energy swept through the surrounding void. Dragon King. At this time Enlai returned. Wait for Tianjun to erase the surrounding aura, Wang Xian said to Enlai. A powerful sorcerer could detect what was happening here with his array. Enlai nodded and waited at the side. Dragon King, it's done, Tianjun said after a minute. Let's go, Wang Xian said as he disappeared instantly. The scenery changed and they arrived at another planet. It's not that easy to obtain resources. Let's go to the planet where the Emohan clan rears wild beasts. Wang Xian shook his head helplessly as he spoke. However, he was still very satisfied with the rewards he got from entering that planet. A rank 7 God Emperor corpse and a dozen rank 6 God Emperor corpses could increase the strength of the Dragon Palace significantly. Even those divine trees and divine grass were not enough to improve Wang Xian. Dragon King, wait here for a while. I'll head over first. Enlai looked at the map as he locked his eyes on the planet where the Emohan clan reared wild beasts. Just as Wang Xian and the rest continued to explore, Emperor Hong Tian, who was hovering around the heaven-reaching tower, frowned. There was no one within a 1,000-kilometer radius around him. One could imagine his strength and status. In fact, in the entire Emohan clan relic, Emperor Hong Tian's prestige and status were extremely high. He was the one who selflessly revealed the method to break the array within the 55th level of the heaven-reaching tower. In the Emohan clan relic, Emperor Hong Tian had many supporters. Moreover, he had recruited many disciples, and many of them had considerable prestige. Sensing that the divine tablet in his spatial ring had cracked, his figure gradually disappeared. In the next moment, Emperor Hong Tian appeared in an herb garden on the divine garden star. Master, Around him, a dozen middle-aged and old men greeted him respectfully upon seeing his arrival. Emperor Hong Tian nodded his head and flew towards a direction without any expression on his face. His speed was terrifying. Soon, he arrived at the space above the herb garden. Sensing that there was no sign of life here, and seeing the divine trees and divine grass being plucked, his eyes turned cold. Someone actually stepped into my territory. His gaze was cold as he scanned the surroundings with his slightly turbid eyes. Insignificant tricks. He spat out a few words coldly. Chapter 2998. Arrest Notice Ka. Within the Divine Garden Star, Emperor God Hong Tian waved his arm, and a circular disc floated in the void. He stared coldly at the void. In the next moment, a blurry picture appeared in the void. Not bad. Emperor God Hong Tian looked at the blurry image and frowned. His face was slightly embarrassed. He waved his arm and divine stones were inserted into it. As energy was injected, the picture became clearer. However, the clarity was obviously very low. He couldn't even tell if the picture was male or female. Acquired spiritual treasure magnetic halo. Emperor God Hong Tian took out his most precious treasure with an incomparably gloomy expression. Magnetic halo. Even universe supremacies might not have a treasure of this level. A mirror-like halo appeared above his head. The picture in front of him became clearer. One by one, figures appeared in front of him. Emperor God Hong Tian was filled with murderous intent. How dare you kill my disciple? Unforgivable. A terrifying murderous intent radiated from his body as he stared fixedly at the figures. With a wave of his arm, the image was preserved. Since this place has been discovered, I can bring forward my plan. It's a pity that I'm still far from my breakthrough. I can't enter the inner parts of the Incan family either. I can't wait any longer. I've used 100 million years to accumulate and develop. Now I control thousands of planets in the Incan family. That's enough. Emperor God Hong Tian murmured. He moved and floated in the middle of the planet. Gather all disciples. I have something important to announce. His voice reverberated across the entire Divine Garden Star. Soon hundreds of figures flew over. Master. All the middle-aged and old men greeted respectfully. Emperor God Hong Tian didn't say a word. He just stood there and waited quietly. Master. More and more middle-aged and old men flew over. Each of them gave off a powerful aura. Soon, tens of thousands of middle-aged and old men gathered. Master, have you decided? 10 minutes later, 3 old men riding red-crowned cranes arrived. They had white hair and were filled with excitement and agitation. Big senior brother, second senior brother, third senior brother. Tens of thousands of middle-aged and old men greeted them respectfully. It's decided. Hierarch Hong Tian nodded lightly. Great, this is great. The 3 of them were extremely excited as they stood at the very front. Master has summoned all of you here to make an announcement. Master will be establishing a race, a domain-level race. You will be the first batch of people. Emperor God Hong Tian announced calmly when he saw all the disciples arriving. However, as soon as he finished speaking, everyone's bodies shuddered. Their faces were filled with excitement and shock. Their eyes were burning with passion. At the same time, waves of powerful energy shot into the sky. Among these 10,000 people, the weakest was at least a 4th-order God Emperor realm. All of them were powerful shamans. The establishment of a faction, the establishment of a domain-type race, they knew what this meant in the universe. However, with their master's strength, it was enough for them to establish a powerful domain-level race. We'll start preparing the specifics in a month. Apart from this, there's one more thing. As Emperor God Hong Tian spoke, he waved his arm, and a picture appeared in front of everyone. This group of people barged into our territory and killed more than a dozen of your brothers. Put up a wanted order for them in the Incan tribe. The strongest among them is a 7th-order God Emperor. Once you encounter them, kill them. Emperor God Hong Tian said coldly. Yes. The disciples answered immediately. Follow me. There are some places in the Incan tribe ruins that you have not been to. In the future, This will be the place where our race will stand. Emperor God Hong Tian said to all the disciples. He waved his arm and drew a teleportation array. Wang Xian and the rest, who were searching for treasures, did not know that they had been discovered by Emperor God Hong Tian. This was their first time entering the center of the universe, and they did not know much about the means of experts. However, at this moment, Wang Xian received another piece of bad news. According to the records, the planet where the Mo Han clan reared their desolate beasts as mounts has also been occupied. In the sky above the planet where the wild beasts were reared, Wang Xian frowned as he stared at the arrays below him. What's going on? Didn't they say that no one has set foot on these planets? It has obviously been occupied by someone, and they are rearing so many wild beasts. Ba Qi said as he stared at the planet below him with a burning gaze. Dragon King, why don't we slaughter some of the weaker wild beasts? There are tens of thousands of Emperor God Realm wild beasts here. He continued. We can't afford to offend a force that could occupy this place and rear so many powerful wild beasts. And it's highly possible that this place is also occupied by Emperor God Hong Tian. Tianjin shook his head. Wang Xian nodded in agreement. It was no exaggeration to say that the wild beasts reared on this planet were stronger than the Dragon Palace. This was because he could sense the aura of an 8th Order God Emperor Realm wild beast. Let's go. We have to leave this place immediately. Wang Xian said to Enlai with a solemn expression. Dragon King, shall we continue to explore the other planets? Enlai asked. Let's go to the central mainland directly. The core of the Ink Han tribe ruins is still the 18 mainlands in the center. Let's go to one of the mainlands. Tianjun said after a moment of hesitation. All right. Enlai nodded. His figure flickered and immediately disappeared. He continued to explore as he passed through powerful and messy arrays. Dragon King, we found a mainland. It's a little far. Fortunately, I have the ability to teleport. If I were to fly, it would take at least a year. However, Enlai returned after an hour and reported to Wang Xian and the rest. Did you find it? Great. Wang Xian revealed an excited look. Within the territory of the Ink Han tribe ruins, an Emperor God Realm expert would need at least a few decades to fly from one side to the other without rest. The universe was vast, and Enlai needed half an hour to teleport back and forth. One could imagine how far the distance was. However, the further the distance, it wasn't a bad thing for Wang Xian and the rest. This was because the further they were, the less people would be able to enter, and the more treasures they could obtain. Let's go, Wang Xian said to him immediately. Yes, Dragon King. Enlai nodded his head. Tianjun and the rest were also excited. Wang. In the next moment, their figures disappeared. A vast continent appeared in their line of sight. One of the 18 mainlands in the center of the Ink Han tribe ruins. Chapter 2999. Treasure hunting ancient, vast, and magnificent. When Wang Xian and the rest stood on the 18 continents of the Ink Han clan, they were shocked as they looked at the world around them. The entire continent was dozens, or even thousands of times bigger than the Dragon Island, where the Dragon Palace was located. There were all kinds of buildings on it. It was a pity that 99% of the buildings had decayed. Only a few buildings made of special materials were still standing. Wang Xian squinted his eyes and looked at the land. This is too big. It will take a long time to search the entire continent. Orochi exclaimed as he looked around. There isn't much spiritual energy fluctuation on this continent. I wonder if there are many treasures here. Tianjin furrowed his brows slightly and said, Let's look around. After all, this is just a relic. Wang Xian shook his head and said. He moved his palm, and an ant with long tentacles appeared on his palm. Treasure-seeking ant. A treasure that Wang Xian had obtained from the system in the boundless star field. Treasure-seeking ant was a divine beast used by the insect race to search for various resources. It had no combat power, but was very useful to the insect race. Wang Xian had been feeding it in the Dragon Palace, and had not used it for a long time. It could be put to good use here. Let's go and search. Who knows, there might be unexpected gains. Wang Xian said with a smile as he placed the treasure-seeking ant on his shoulder. Search for treasures above the Emperor God level. He gave an order to the treasure-seeking ant. Squeak, squeak. A unique sound came from the mouth of the treasure-seeking ant. Its 2 tentacles were glowing. Wang Xian made a move and immediately flew across the land. However, after flying for 10 minutes, the treasure-seeking ant did nothing. This made Wang Xian frown slightly as he continued to fly forward. After flying for more than 2 hours, the treasure-seeking ant's tentacles finally showed some movement. Found a rank 3 Emperor God weapon. The treasure-seeking ant transmitted the information to Wang Xian at a blessed place. This caused a smile to appear on his face. He immediately flew in the direction the treasure-seeking ant was pointing at. After entering a building filled with dust, Wang Xian waved his arm, and the dust dissipated. His eyes fell on a piece of divine equipment hanging on the wall. It was a magic tool, a hanging pen. It was similar to the brushes used by the disciples of Emperor God Hong Tian, whom Wang Xian had killed not long ago. Dragon King. This is the array drawing pen, the exclusive magical artifact of the Ink and Han family. Tianjun walked over and held the formation drawing pen in his hand as he spoke with a smile. I only found a pen after searching for a few hours. There are so few treasures here. Orochi said with slight dissatisfaction. That's enough. A third order God Emperor realm artifact is so easy to find. Even a venerable wouldn't waste this bit of time. What's more, the Ink Han clan has already been exterminated. Most of their battle items and treasures have already been used. Tianjun said with a smile. Let's continue searching. If we're lucky, we might be able to obtain some valuable treasures. Wang Xian was rather satisfied with the gains he had made over the past few hours. Hence, he continued to search the surroundings. First Order God Emperor Realm metallic material detected. A large number of God stones have been found. Discovered a rank 4 God Emperor artifact. Second level God Emperor Realm medicinal pellet found. 6th Order God Emperor Realm material found. Time passed quickly as they continued to fly around the continent. From time to time, they would find some treasures. A month's time passed in the blink of an eye. Wang Xian and the rest were rather satisfied with their gains. Especially Tianjun, who was extremely happy. The Ink Han clan belonged to the sorcerer lineage. Hence, many of their treasures were used by sorcerers. All of them were extremely useful to him. The magical artifacts were useful to Tianjun and Witch Dragon. Some of the metallic materials were useful to the Devouring Dragon. Some of the medicinal pellets in the jade bottles were useful to Wang Xian and the entire Dragon Palace. The entire continent was a treasure trove for them. As they continued searching, they kept all kinds of treasures. Dragon King, even though there are many treasures here, none of them are 7th or 8th Order God Emperor realm. 3 months passed by in the blink of an eye. Wang Xian and the rest had indeed obtained a bountiful harvest. However, there was one thing that they had not come across: any high-grade items. The highest grade item they had obtained was merely a 6th Order God Emperor realm. Yamada no Orochi said with displeasure. Along the way, Enlai brought Tianjun back to the Dragon Palace and allowed him to absorb the energy of the 7th Order God Emperor realm sorcerer's corpse. His strength had improved, and he now possessed the strength of a 7th Order God Emperor. Let's search bit by bit. At most, we have explored 1/5 of this continent. Wang Xian smiled and did not mind. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Suddenly, the treasure-seeking ant on Wang Xian's shoulder squeaked. Its pair of antennae glowed brightly as it pointed ahead. Ha! This is... Wang Xian sensed the treasure-seeking ant's excited expression. He was stunned for a moment before his face lit up with joy. There should be treasures ahead. As he spoke, he immediately flew towards the direction pointed by the treasure-seeking ant. After Wang Xian's strength increased, his speed was very fast. Orochi and the rest were also delighted as they followed behind. This is... When Wang Xian and the rest flew to the front, they discovered a blessed land. This was the first blessed land they had discovered since they came to this continent. In front of them, mountains and rivers intersected. Mountains that were millions of meters tall were built into an extremely luxurious place to live. Huge waterfalls flowed down from above. The spiritual energy here was also dozens of times denser than other places. Moreover, the array here was still operating. Each array could operate for billions of years. One could imagine the identity and status of the person who had set up this array in the Ink Han family. Dragon King, the level of the array here is very high. Even if it is slightly weakened, I still can't crack it with my current strength. Tianjun said with passionate eyes. In other words, there's a high possibility that a universe supremacy once lived here? Wang Xian raised an eyebrow and his eyes flickered. 90%. The Ink Han family is a primary race in the universe with a very deep foundation. There are dozens of universe supremacies in their entire race. It's highly possible that this was the place where a universe supremacy lived. Tianjun nodded. Enlai, I'll leave the rest to you, said Wang Xian to Enlai with a passionate look in his eyes. Don't worry, Dragon King. Leave it to me. TSK, I've finally found some good treasures. Enlai looked at the array in front of him with excitement in his eyes. His figure moved, and he immediately entered the formation. It was all thanks to an insane ability like Enlai. Otherwise, Wang Xian and the rest would have no hope of obtaining the treasures. Dragon King, the energy inside is so dense. It's only slightly weaker than our Dragon Palace. Many things inside are intact. Soon, an excited Enlai teleported out and shouted excitedly. Chapter 3000. Classification of Treasures. Acquired spiritual treasures on. Then why aren't you bringing us over? Orochi's eyes lit up when he heard Enlai's voice. He immediately urged. Wang. Enlai glared at Yamada no Orochi. They moved and appeared inside the blessed grotto heaven. At this moment, they were standing in front of a mountain peak. Beside them was a waterfall that fell from the sky. The sound of flowing water brought vitality to this place. If not for the weeds around, this place would definitely be a paradise. The array here is still running, keeping this place clean. Look at the flowers on the waterfall. At this moment, Tianjun suddenly pointed at the center of the waterfall with an excited expression. There were a few flowers on the waterfall that had been flowing for billions of years. The colors of the flowers and the water were very similar. If one did not look closely, one would not be able to tell. Flowers that have been growing on the waterfall for billions of years? Tianjun, Aoyao, Aoxia, and the rest looked over and exclaimed. Let's go. Wang Xian and the rest made a move, and immediately flew towards the waterfall. As they got closer to the emerald blue flowers, they could feel a majestic vitality. There was also a unique energy coming from the flowers. Peak Emperor God level flowers, reverse current heart. Tianjun stared at the 4 flowers and roared excitedly. There are 4 Peak Emperor God level flowers. Does that mean that the Dragon King can achieve another breakthrough after consuming them? Orochi and the rest could not help but ask. It shouldn't be a problem. Wang Xian nodded his head with excitement in his eyes. For Peak Emperor God level flowers, even if they could not help him achieve a breakthrough, he would be on the verge of it. The countercurrent heart is of great use to sorcerers and body refiners. It can be said to be a rare treasure. The conditions for cultivating this kind of treasure are very harsh, and the cultivation time is very long. It may take hundreds of millions of years for a countercurrent heart to mature. These 4 have all matured. They should have been planted when the Mo Han clan was exterminated. However, this kind of divine flower is useless to us dragon sorcerers. We have the bloodline of the divine dragon. Tianjun said. Keep it first and continue searching. Wang Xian was in a good mood after obtaining such a precious divine flower the moment he entered. With a wave of his arm, the reverse current heart entered Wang Xian's body and landed in the moon bay of the ancient lake, beside the ancestral tree of the Dragon Palace. Come on, let's continue inside. Looking at the direction that the treasure-seeking ant was pointing at, Wang Xian's eyes were filled with anticipation as he flew forward immediately. The entire blessed enclave was not very big. It only had a radius of a few hundred kilometers, and there were more than a dozen towering mountains. Every mountain peak had been transformed very beautifully. There was even a huge mountain peak that had been carved into the shape of a human. In a few mountain peaks, he found several decades worth of God Emperor grade treasures and above. There were even more than 1,000 God King grade treasures. However, None of these treasures could reach the level of the 4 reverse heart flowers. In fact, it was far inferior. In any case, this is the residence of a venerable. Why is there only the countercurrent heart, a venerable level treasure? The Yamada no Orochi scratched his head in disappointment after finding a few 5th order God Emperor realm treasures. Let's continue. Wang Xian smiled. Although he was still a little disappointed, he continued to fly towards the next peak. The mountain in front is shrouded by an array. When Wang Xian and the rest flew towards the next peak, they realized that the mountain was shrouded by an array. The powerful array sent chills down their spines. It's not just an array. There are 3 layers of defensive arrays and a space sealing array. This array can withstand attacks from those below the venerable level. I wonder why there's a space sealing array. Tianjin said with a frown. There are treasures in there. Moreover, they are very powerful treasures. Upon hearing Tianjin's words, Wang Xian looked at the glow on the treasure-seeking ant's tentacle on his shoulder. Leave it to me. And Lai's eyes lit up. With a swift move, he teleported forward. Dragon King, this is a graveyard. And Lai flew out a few seconds later and exclaimed to Wang Xian and the rest. Let's go in and take a look. Wang Xian and the rest were slightly taken aback as they entered immediately. Inkan Ghost Law Abode. Inkan Ghost Law Graveyard. After entering the array, there were 2 lines of engraved words above the entrance of the mountain. The first line seemed to be from a much older era than the second line. Inkan Ghost Law Graveyard? The owner of this place is called Inkan Ghost Law Graveyard? Tianjin mumbled to himself. Wang Xian looked ahead, opened his dragon eyes and walked in. Dragon King, be careful. Most experts would leave some restrictions in their graveyards before they die to prevent others from disturbing them. And Lai, go ahead and scout. Tianjin reminded. Gosh, Tianjin, you're heartless. And Lai's face darkened when he heard Tianjin. However, he still came to Wang Xian immediately. Although you're weak, with your current reflexes, you can dodge the attacks of a venerable in an instant if you're prepared. Tianjin chuckled, and Lai led the way in front while Wang Xian and the rest followed behind. After entering the cave, they arrived at a guest room. Other than some cutlery, there was nothing else. There should have been some items hanging on the wall in the past, but they were long gone. They looked around the guest room, but didn't find any treasures. Behind the guest room, there was a staircase that led upwards. Wang Xian and the rest came to the staircase and walked up. The second floor was the living quarters. It was a spacious room, but it was slightly empty. Many things had obviously been moved away. Inside the living quarters on the second floor, there was also a staircase that led upwards. It should be up there. Wang Xian looked at the direction pointed out by the treasure-seeking ant and continued up the stairs. When he reached the second floor, he suddenly felt that it was spacious. The entire huge mountain only had 3 levels, and this level was at least 1,000,000 meters tall. It covered an area of about 10 kilometers. Dragon King, look at the center. At this time, Orochi's surprised voice sounded. Wang Xian and the rest looked over. At the center, there was a chair with a figure sitting on it. The figure looked like only a set of bones. It sat there quietly, without the slightest trace of life. The owner of this place, Wang Xian, and the rest flew over immediately when they saw it. When they came to the front of the corpse, they were shocked. An expert who had died billions of years ago. Other than the disappearance of his flesh and blood, his bones were still there. They were like immortal metals, and still had a trace of power. The corpse of a venerable of the universe was immortal. Chapter 3001. You can search for Invincible Divine Dragon Cultivation System on Baidu. Wonderbrush Pavilion. To find the latest chapter, there are words on the floor. I, Emohan Gui Fa, protector of the Emohan family. Before the war, I fought with the skeleton race and killed a protector of the skeleton race. I was severely injured and my injuries are irrecoverable. If the war has already started, the Emohan family is definitely not a match for the skeleton race. The Emohan family is about to be annihilated. Although I am unwilling, I am powerless and will take my leave first. If any living beings step into this place, apart from an acquired spiritual treasure, all the treasures have been given to the people of my clan. There is nothing else. If any of my clansmen are still alive, my cultivation room contains all the witchcraft I have collected throughout my life. You can practice them. All that was left was a skeleton body, leaning on a golden chair in the middle of the cultivation room. There were a few lines of clear words on the floor. So it was a protector of the Emohan family. No wonder he was so strong, and even killed a universe supremacy before his death. Impressive, Orochi commented as he looked at the words on the floor. But this guy is a little stingy. He said he didn't leave any treasures behind. Oh yes, what level is the acquired spiritual treasure? Is it at the level of a universe supremacy? Orochi asked Sky-Array Wang, and the rest as he scanned the surroundings. What about the acquired spiritual treasure? He asked doubtfully. I'm not too sure about the classification of weapons in the center of the universe. Wang Xian shook his head. There was very little about weapons in the memories of the Divine Dragon inheritance. The Divine Dragon race basically didn't use weapons. Their physical bodies were their best weapons. If there was a weapon, it would probably be the natal Dragon Ball. Moreover, not every Divine Dragon would cultivate the natal Dragon Ball. Therefore, Wang Xian wasn't too sure about the classification of weapons in the center of the universe. Sky-Array Wang shook his head as he scanned the surroundings. Where's the acquired spiritual treasure that this guy mentioned? Enlai also scanned the surroundings with curiosity. Aosia frowned slightly and flew up immediately. There were hidden compartments on the surrounding walls. There was a protruding area in front of the hidden compartment with a chair on it. Books were placed in the hidden compartment. There were thousands of these hidden compartments. Wang Xian scanned the surroundings with his dragon eyes and looked in the direction where the treasure-seeking ant's tentacle was pointing. At this time, Wang Xian saw a figure sitting on a seat beside a secret compartment. Dragon King, there's another corpse here. At this time, Aosia also noticed the figure above and immediately informed Wang Xian and the rest. Whoosh! Wang Xian Tianjin and the rest frowned slightly and immediately looked up. This is... A skinny old man sat cross-legged on the ground in the corner, next to the hidden compartment, which was used for reading books. The old man was almost skin and bones. His eyes were closed, as if he had no flesh and blood. The green veins were exposed, and looked a little scary. Why is there another dead person? Yamada no Orochi looked at the skinny old man, and was filled with surprise. You don't look like you're with Mohan Ghostcraft. Even your skin isn't rotten? Did they enter this place later? He's still alive. Wang Xian was also sizing up this body. His powerful senses could sense a faint trace of vitality in this body. What? He's still alive? Yamada no Orochi and the rest were extremely shocked. Enlai approached and hesitated for a moment before touching the old man's head. Dragon King, is there no vitality left? He sensed and couldn't help but ask. There seems to be a little bit of vitality left. Yamada no Orochi placed his hand on the old man and was a little shocked. This old man should have entered this place later just like us. However, he triggered the array here for some reason and is trapped here. There's nothing to eat or drink here. Although experts only need energy to survive. Have you guys realized that there's no energy here at all? It's a vacuum realm. The spiritual energy here has been completely absorbed by him. Without spiritual energy, he can only exhaust his physical strength to preserve his vitality. This old man has obviously used a special technique to seal off his exhaustion to preserve a trace of vitality. I wonder how long he has been here. Tianjin said with some surprise. To be able to enter this place, he should be a peak emperor god. Wang Xian said as he looked to the side. There was a chessboard at the side. There were flags of different colors on the chessboard. On the flags there were words A, B, C, D, e.g. Gung Xian Run Gui Zi Chou In Mao Chen Si Wu Wei Shen Yu Su Hai. The entire chessboard exuded a mysterious power. This was obviously a sorcery weapon. Moreover, it was highly likely to be the acquired spiritual treasure that Emohan had mentioned. Beside the chessboard there was a book. The book stated that it was a treasure nurtured by the universe, a treasure forged by mighty forces. Wang Xian waved his arm, and a book made of metal appeared in his hand. He flipped to the first page. All living things in the universe could be categorized into different levels. This book mainly introduced the artifacts in the universe. In the center of the universe, the experts categorized the treasures as Heaven Yuan creation treasures, also known as chaos treasures. Next were innate treasures, innate spiritual treasures, acquired treasures, and acquired spiritual treasures. The first page of the book introduced the classification of the treasures in the center of the universe. From weak to strong, acquired spiritual treasures, innate spiritual treasures, and finally chaos treasures. Even the weakest of these treasures could only be refined by the supremacies of the universe. With powerful treasures, one could kill experts of the same level. As he continued to flip to the next page, there were records of some powerful treasures. There were also some records of chaos treasures. However, the author of this book didn't dare to confirm whether chaos treasures existed. Wang Xian continued to flip to the next page and realized that there was a marked page at the back. The marked page was a record of an acquired spiritual treasure. It was a chessboard-like acquired spiritual treasure called the divination chessboard. The divination chessboard was a sorcerer's array board and an acquired spiritual treasure. Moreover, it was an extremely powerful acquired spiritual treasure. Its power could almost match up to some acquired spiritual treasures, and it was forged by an extremely powerful great witch. Treasures were differentiated into innate and acquired spiritual treasures, and the difference was huge. Connate treasures were nurtured by the universe. They were treasures that had survived catastrophes, while acquired treasures were created by powerful beings with great power. Innate treasures were much more powerful than acquired spiritual treasures. As for the top-notch chaos treasures, the Heaven Yuan creation treasures, they were treasures that were born together with the universe. There were only legends of chaos treasures, but no one had seen them before. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.